The Coast Guard has a unique history that differentiates it from any of the other armed services. To help us understand the modern-day service, Coast Guard Petty Officer Adam Eggers takes us on a journey back in time to the service's beginnings.
They're best known for turning victims into survivors on the high seas. While many people associate them with saving lives, many people don't know. The service's roots began as the country's only maritime law enforcement agency. In 1790, the first Congress authorized the construction of 10 ships to be a part of the newly formed Revenue Cutter Service, or what we now know as the U.S. Coast Guard. Now, this agency was created with 3 specific missions in mind.
The Treasury Department needed an enforcement arm to make sure that the tariffs and the customs were collected in the ports, but they also had to prevent smuggling because if people were successfully smuggling goods, then they weren't collecting tariffs. The Revenue Cutter Service was very adept at doing other missions, and over the years many other missions have been tacked on. One of the first ones, of course, was the suppression of slavery.
To complete the ever-growing list of responsibilities, the Revenue Cutter Service and its crews needed a level of authority completely different from those of the other armed services.
Well, the Posse Comitatus Act was passed a couple years after Reconstruction, and the reason it was passed was because of the federal soldiers that were in the South during Reconstruction, and they did not want federal uniformed services to be able to enforce laws. Now, they immediately forbade the Army from doing it, but they allowed the Revenue Cutter Service to do it.
In addition to the Act, Title 14 of the U.S. Code gives the Coast Guard the authority to make inquiries, inspections, searches, seizures, and arrests. This designates Coast Guard members as federal law enforcement officers. This authority was necessary for the service's mission during Prohibition.
Well, the Coast Guard had really the lead role in Prohibition, because Prohibition, in effect, was like a blockade. They had to blockade the whole coast of the United States. The Coast Guard had to have additional assets to do this. The Coast Guard in no way was prepared to do this when the Prohibition Acts were first passed.
For as long as the Coast Guard and its predecessors have been in operation, its roles and missions have continued to evolve and change to match the world around it, leading to the service's motto, Semper Paratus, always ready. Coast Guard Petty Officer Adam Eggers, Pentagon Channel News.